walk away, what do you want people, to say, like, wow, she encouraged me. That person helped me while I was down. So let's give a warm welcome for Miss Tanisha Curry.
Okay, this is the part where I'm going to do an interview with Tanisha because she's just amazing. She's been through a lot, and she decided to take her mess and make it her message. And she wrote this book. And I am inspired by that because it takes a lot to just draw the line in the sand and say, you know what, I'm going to take my life back. And I'm going to learn from my mistakes. And that's what she did. So I have some questions for her. I'm going to let you hold your book. I talked to her briefly about her questions and told her to kind of think about it a little bit ahead of time. So let's see where we go from here. Before I even get going with you, do you want to say something? Is there something you want to say?
I think I want to say I'm blessed to be here and to meet all the amazing women. First and foremost, I think thank you for bringing something positive to Pittsburgh. You gotta give a round of applause for that. There's really not a lot of things out here, especially for women. So I thank you and thank everybody that's involved, and I pray that you all leave and feel very encouraged and take something away from it.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. And for me, I'll be honest, when I decided to put this event in place and I had women in mind to call, and I wasn't expecting all of them to say yes. And every last one of them, not only did they say yes, they said, I'm honored to do it. And so when they said they were honored to do it, I said, well, we're gonna try to figure out how we can get all these women in here to speak. And so Tanisha happened to be one of the women that was on my heart. I just didn't make it around to call her. And she ended up inboxing me saying, can I just be a vendor? And I'm like, oh my God, because I'm one that I try to listen to what God is telling me to do. And so when she said that, I said, well, let's meet. Let me get to know you a little bit. And we did. We met. And long story short, we started talking more and more about it. And I got her book, and I started reading her book. And I said, wow, they need to hear. They need to hear from her. They need to know a little bit. So I decided to do a panel interview with her to try to leverage time. And as you can see, we've had some difficulties. So I want to still try to be sensitive to the time and to everyone else's time. But we will try to cut corners when we can, but make sure we get important information out to everyone. So the title of your book is named I have my questions. So, Deep Within, I Knew He Wasn't For Me.
Ignoring the red flag.
Ignoring the red flags. So obviously she's talking about guys. How many teens in here got boyfriends? I'm glad you don't. I don't want you to, but if you do, how many got boyfriends? They're like, no, you do. You do? Okay. So this is, you guys need to hear from her. So I think Tanisha did a really nice job in describing who she used to be, who she is right now, and who she is becoming. So with that said, I'm going to ask you to talk to us real briefly about who you used to be.
That was the question I was like, whoa.
You can give a scenario, and I want us to just kind of relax. Even my nerves is like, oh, this wasn't working, that wasn't working. But as women, that's just what we do, right? We do that. But I want her to kind of give a scenario from her book, if you can.
I would say who I used to be was kind of like really misguided in relationships, not making the right choices. So I think success-wise, I didn't really have that issue. I knew that there was a purpose for me, but when I knew there was a purpose for me, my choices in relationships were not that awesome. So that ended up affecting my purpose. And when you get into bad relationships, they can derail your purpose and your focus in life. And sometimes a guy will end up being your purpose, and that will kind of derail you from your purpose. And I had those experiences even in high school. And so I think my biggest thing was, probably I would say was 2 months ago I was asked to speak at a domestic violence event. And at first I was like, I don't know that about that. But then I had to remember that I was in a situation, a relationship when I was, I think I'm 17 till I was about 20, and that ended with a court case, and but like I said, I was misguided, so that's in the book. That story is definitely in the book. So who I was, and then after that relationship, I never took time to heal. I got another crazy relationship, and so that was interesting, but I've came so far since then, so it's kind of, to go back and talk about it, it's like, very interesting. But I think it was just that I didn't have a support system, and I probably didn't reach out as much as I could. So I would say that I know when you're young, you want to have boyfriends and everything, and that's awesome. But it's hard to have a boyfriend when you're young and you're still finding who you are. And when you get in relationships and you don't know who you are, all this time passes, and then something detrimental sometimes happens for you to discover who you are. So that's like who I used to be, young, misguided, putting relationships above my success and letting those things distract me.
So I'm gonna ask you a question because I read the book. And there was a part in the book where you talked about a guy and you called him Mr. Blue Eye. And you were just head over heels for this guy, and this guy, he had a whole other side to him.
Oh yeah.
And how did you come to terms? How did you get away from him? Kind of tell a part about, how he kind of swept you off your feet, and you believed everything he said, but yet it was just this one thing that kind of, when you were just like, that's it, I can't do this no more. Tell us about that part.
I think within that particular relationship, so crazy to talk about it. But in that particular relationship, I was really young. I was just, I had plans to go to college. I went to Sac State, and my plans was to go to college without him, and I ended up getting this boyfriend. He ended up having a kid, and it was like super crazy. And I think because of the fact that I was misguided, some of the drama that I was dealing with him kind of became normal, because my upbringing was not normal. And so that became normal for me, and there was drama all the time. And I think when I think back on it now, for some reason, it must have been attractive to me, but really, it was damaging my work in the process, which I didn't realize. It wasn't until, I talked about it in a book, one day, after 4 years of craziness, like you have to read it, it's really crazy. But one day, I was mad about something, and I called him, and he said, "You coming back?" And at that moment, this aha just opened in my head. I mean, like the bright light shined so bright. I don't know what it was. He had did so many more things than that. But it was really like a aha moment for me that was like, okay, enough is enough. So I think that, I think for that moment, it was like, this person really thought that they had so much control in this relationship that it was okay.
Thank you. And then the second question I have for you, how did you come to a place when you were vulnerable enough to realize to really face the fact that you wasn't okay and you didn't have it all together and that you wanted to change?
I will say, growing up, I never wanted to become a single mom. So when that ended up happening, I think my pivotal moment was I came home and I found out I was having my daughter, which is such a blessing. But I was sitting on the porch and I was crying because I was upset. And I think at that moment God spoke to me and said, you know what? You need to pick your head up and stop crying. Because at that moment I realized that I had my choices in this. And so that was a really hard thing for me, you know, even talking about it now. But I think that was a tough thing for me. It was realizing my accountability from my choices I made in relationships. And it was like a mirror was shined on myself, and I had to realize my part in that. So that's emotional for me, sorry. But I think that was a really tough situation, but that was a really, really big moment in my life that made me feel like, okay, you're not living up to your self-worth as a woman. You're getting in relationships and you're getting lost and you're losing who you are. And it took for me to become a single mom to, thank you, to realize, you know, that I was so lost in those relationships that it was even hindering my success in my business and many other things like that. And so it was very hard for me to get through that. But when I became a single mom was the moment that was like, okay, you need to step it up, know your self-worth, and love yourself to where this doesn't keep happening to you. Because when you start getting into relationships and you keep getting in bad relationships, you gotta wonder what's the real problem. And that's when you have to have self-reflection. And once you understand that and you know your worth, you'll make less mistakes and you'll have more self-awareness, and you go back to having your core values as to what you want in your heart. If marriage is what you want, then you have to live your life according to that.
And you actually kind of went through the third question, which is good because I'm trying to find the places to cut corners, but make sure you guys still get what you need to hear. So that was recognizing your patterns, and she talked about that. So thank you for that. I'm just going to end with number 4. When did you come to a place of loving yourself?
I think I came to a place of loving myself when, after I had my daughter and I started getting back into business and I started really working on my mindset and being more positive, even watching positive videos, meeting more positive people, being around more like-minded women, and eliminating drama from my life completely. That's when I came to a point of being happy and loving myself. And I'm still, you know, everybody's a work in progress, and I will say God has the power to turn your mess into a message, definitely. And He turned my mess into a message, and that's why I'm able to be here. But if you take anything away from it, is that you have to understand that you control your destiny. You have to be accountable for your actions in order for you to heal. And you have to work on your mindset. You know, build your mindset. Your brain power is everything. And don't get lost in relationships and lose who you are. But always take a step, you know, forward and work on your mindset. Like I said, with me, I'll watch motivational videos, go to events to keep myself positive, because if not, I feel like I'd lose myself because I'm going backwards instead of forward.
Thank you. So this is Tanisha. Thank you again so much for coming. I'm just going to go right in to call my sister up. So we'll just stand up and clap Tanisha.